Good morning, everyone. Our topic for today is about varieties of language, idiolect, sociolect, and dialect. For our learning targets, first, identify the different varieties of language, dialect, idiolect, and sociolect. Second is discuss the concepts of idiolect, sociolect, and dialect. When we say varieties of language, it is a general term for any distinctive form of a language or linguistic expression. Understanding language in society means that one also has to understand the social networks in which language is embedded. This may apply to the macro level of a country or a city, but also to the interpersonal level of neighborhood or a single family. Linguists commonly use a language variety or a simply variety as a cover term for any of the overlapping subcategories of the language, including dialect, register, jargon, and idiolect. Next is dialect. It is a form of a language which is peculiar to a specific region or social group. The term dialect is often used to characterize any way of speaking that differs from the standard variety of a language, which is largely considered to be dialect-free. We have two types of dialect. First is regional dialect. It is a form of language spoken in a certain geographical area. For example, we might speak of Osort dialect or Appalachian dialects on the ground that inhabitants of these regions have certain distinctive linguistic features that differentiate them from speakers of other forms of English. Second is social dialect, the distinctive form of language spoken by members of a specific socioeconomic class such as the working class dialects in England. Examples is the use of the words soda or pop and coke in different parts of the United States. Now let's proceed to distinctions between language and dialect. A language is frequently written as well as spoken, but a dialect is only spoken until it is elevated to the status of an elite, usually for political reasons. When a language is adopted as a national language, it is incorporated into the literary legacy of that country and serves as a marker of a national identity. Next is distinctions between dialect and accent. A style of pronunciation is simply how one pronounces a word. A person's basic vocabulary and grammar are included in a dialect, as well as his or her pronunciations. Next is idiolect. An individual's distinctive use of language, including speech, is referred to as idiolect. For example, while also being influenced by a wide range or other source of variation, such as their life experience, language encounters what they have read and listened to, where they have been. Now, let's proceed to difference between idiolect and dialect. A dialect is a group of people's variation of language, while idiolect is a much smaller term that refers to how one individual speaks in a particular way at a specific time in contrast to others. Next is sociolect. Language is used differently by different groups of people. These are used to identify a person's. Next is sociolect. Language is used differently by different groups of people. These are used to identify a person. The following are some of the elements that determine language style. First, we have socioeconomic status. For example, language of high class is different from that of low class. Second is age. Example, adults and teens do not have the same style of language. Third is occupation. For example, certain professions, such as lawyer or doctor, have their own jargons and sentence structure. And last is gender. Example, men tend to use slang and swear words more than women. Varieties of language: accent, diglossia, jargons, and colloquial words. Accent is a word that emphasizes a specific portion of a word. The word accent derives from the Latin accentus, which is meaning song intonation. An example of accent will be the loudest part of a word. Accent means to give importance or attention to something. Another example of accent would be the public speaker who emphasizes a key point. Next is diglossia, a situation in which a single language community uses two dialects or language. Example, include the differences between Standard and Egyptian Arabic, Greek and Haitian Creole. These are two distinctive varieties of diglossia. First is low variety. The speakers don't formally learn its grammar or how to write in that language. It's merely learned as a spoken language. It is flexible and is more likely to change over time because it is not restricted by the rules of the high language. For example, the man asks the woman, "What's up with your hair?" What's up is an informal term of what is going on. Now let's proceed to high variety. It is the language used for formal situations. This language is learned at school formally. Speakers learn how to write in that language and they learn its formal grammar rules. In many cases, the community considers high variety to be the correct form of the language. They want to keep it the same and not let it change, unlike the low variety that is flexible and changes over time. It uses the most proper, formal, and polite choice of words such as tallied instead of counted. Colloquial words. It is an expression used in informal conversation. It is commonly used in regional or local dialects. Colloquialism can be confused with slang and jargon, since these are two other ways of conversing in formal ways. Some example of colloquial words is dope. Dope means cool or awesome. Goat, greatest of all time. Gucci, good, cool, or going well. Lit, amazing, cool, or exciting. Next is jargon. Jargon is the complex language used by experts in a certain discipline or field. This language often helps experts communicate with clarity and precision. The following are the jargons used in medical field. Acute, a condition that comes suddenly. Negative, a result of a test that indicates a tested condition is not present. Last is atypical, something that is not completely normal. Here are some examples of jargon. Due diligence. A business term, due diligence, refers to the research that should be done before making an important business decision. AWOL, short for absent without leave. AWOL is military jargon used to describe a person whose whereabouts are unknown. Hard copy, a common term in business, academia, and other fields. A hard copy is a physical printout of a document as opposed to an electronic copy.